Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. You've got a story to share, a message to inspire, and a passion ready to ignite. But where do you start? The world is waiting for your voice. With From Idea to Implementation, Start Your Own Podcast, you'll get the roadmap to turn your vision into reality. This isn't just a course, it's your launching pad. Step by step, we'll break down the process from defining your purpose to recording your first episode so you can finally share your voice with confidence. Stop overthinking it and start doing it. Your voice has the power to connect and lead. Are you ready to use it? Join the waitlist today. Your podcast journey starts now. The world is waiting. You can find the link to sign up for the waitlist in the show notes. We'll see you soon. Hello there, Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography Podcast, a podcast and platform created to help elevate and amplify the voices of women through sharing their stories. Today, my guest is Sandra Combe. She is the co-founder of Kindred Spirit Connections, a mind, body, spirit entrepreneur, an energy healer, which encompasses multiple modalities that you are certified in. She is also a life coach, a rising star healing system teacher, a speaker, and an author. Welcome, Sandra. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Brad. And I'm coming live from my home in Southern California.
Beautiful. So happy to have you here. Honored to have the opportunity to sit down and speak with you. I'm excited to dive in and share in your story and your journey. So with that being said, let us jump right in. Now, that is a hell of a lot of hats you wear. I'm exhausted just reading through the list of credentials and things that you do. So I'm curious, how on earth do you find the time for all of this? And how do you prioritize, and how important is prioritization and organization for you?
I appreciate the question, Brad. The first thing I'd like to say is I retired from corporate world, and when I worked there for 30 years, and I learned very well from day one working in the oil and gas industry how to compete, how to wear all those hats and to prioritize my life. But at this point in my life, I have retired, and I ran a parallel path of opening a healing arts center, basically because I needed to heal myself and my daughter, and then in turn reach out to my clients. And right about that time also, my sister took her own life. And when she did that, it put me on a quest to find God. And I have spent the last 3 decades studying death and dying, which will lead to the final end of my talk, that in the last 3 years, I had a near-death experience. So I'm just setting up all the stepping stones. Let's just start in the beginning from the corporate. Brad, was for 30 years, I climbed the corporate ladder. Okay. I worked in a field that was dominated by men.
Yeah.
In the 1980s and 90s, when women were still working hard at that glass ceiling. And to continue to compete, I went back to get my master's so that I could get the next promotion. And when I did that, I got my master's at 48. At 49, I had a massive heart attack and a triple bypass surgery. And then when I turned 50, I got a pacemaker. So for someone who was so good at controlling wearing all those hats and all those roles and all those masks we wear in our life, God gave me a timeout. And I took a year out of my life to open that healing arts. So it's different. I love Louise Hayes. So we started doing healing your life, mindfulness, meditation, breath work, all that stuff I didn't have time in the corporate world. And then I realized how instrumental it was to be in part of my life. I opened the Healing Arts Center. I learned to self-heal. And in turn, I now operate it with my daughter. We're a mother-daughter natural health and wellness.
Beautiful. I love that. That's amazing. The fact that you get to work with your daughter is beautiful.
And we just brought in my granddaughter. So we have 3 generations of Reiki masters. So we work a lot with all the healing modalities, believing that everything out there is energy.
Absolutely. You get to work with your granddaughter.
Yeah.
How amazing is that?
She's 13. She kind of does her own thing. But it was such an interesting opportunity because I teach Reiki to teach it to a young teenager. But she's a vegetarian. Her life has opened up, and she's open to receive all the infinite possibilities and opportunities.
I mean, she has a great teacher.
Yeah.
You and her mother.
Yeah, they call me Granny.
There you go. What drives, motivates, and inspires you to keep going and excelling at all that you do, Sandra?
I'd say, Brad, I've always felt there should be something more in life. I have been driven by a passion to find the truth. I'm a truth seeker. I have studied the mysteries of life, cultures, religions. Yeah, for me, it was finding the more truth that will set you free.
I love it. Now, I know through previous conversations that you and I have had about your NDE, you've experienced one, and of course, you just mentioned it. I would love to dive in and start discussing all of that and speak around your spiritual journey. So I'm very curious to hear how your spiritual journey began, Sandra. Can you speak a little bit about your NDE? And I'm curious, was that NDE what led you down the spiritual path? Right. Or was that before? Were you doing that before?
When I had that year out from having the heart attack and the bypass and started that healing arts, my sister took her life. And I started studying death and dying. I started studying Tibetan, Buddhism, all this stuff. Till there's got to be more to life than working 50 hours a week and running an energy healing business. That's what I thought of. But what I realized when I had my NDE is just like we're programmed with all these belief systems, Brad. I was programmed through all the different spiritual modalities that I opened my heart to receive, as well as quantum physics and, everything that's out there. So I would say that my death experience was influenced by my spiritual beliefs and my religions. So yes, I was on the best drugs on the planet, and I'm Christian. I'm Methodist. I had an experience with the Christ. I studied Buddhism. I climbed the stupa. My daughter converted to Judaism. In my NDE, I climbed the tree of life. I believe one of the most prominent insights from my NDE is that we go into that experience with what we expect. I think we live heaven and hell on earth. Because I had all that knowledge, my imagination was so activated, but I was in the backyard family pool with my grandkids. And I fainted, and they thought I was meditating underwater, but I was actually, doctors diagnosed me as being dehydrated.
Okay.
They thought I was goofing around, holding my breath, but if you knew me, I would never want to get my hair wet. After a couple minutes, they sent my granddaughter on her pool floaty to poke me and tell me dinner was ready, and my feet came up backwards. And then the rescue began, and it was a 3-generation rescue. My son-in-law did CPR. My daughter did she came full circle and gave me her breath of life. But although I was unconscious, and the 911 fire department recorded the rescue for 7 minutes. So being underwater for 2 in this 7-minute revival, I still had no pulse, and I didn't have any breath of life. Yeah, for me, I was in complete peace. My grandson was on a hammock. My granddaughter was in the pool, friend behind me. My daughter was upstairs. They were starting the barbecue. Anyways, they brought me up. They tried to revive me, and it wasn't until the fire department came. And then I was taken to the hospital, and I was in an induced coma for 3 days on a ventilator. And then when I woke up, Brad, to a mess of wires and tubes and memories and everything, I started having insights and revelations. I ended up walking away from there 3 days later, a complete diagnosed medical miracle. And within that time, with all my spiritual studies of death and dying, I believe that death can be considered one of the biggest mysteries of life.
Yeah.
And I got a glimpse of the afterlife, and I was actually given a choice to come back. And it was to come back and to share this message of this upcoming book called Stop the Bypass. But
So did you see the light? Like I hear my grandmother had an NDE as well. And she told me that she saw a light and she went and she was told, no, it's not your time. You've got to go back. So did you see that sort of thing as well? Was that similar?
For me, I do not ever remember hovering outside my body. I don't remember the tunnel. I remember a bright light, but I felt it was in the brightness of my own heart.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I would say that there was an aspect of me that got to witness the entire rescue.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was this recovery. And for those of us that believe in incarnation, we get a chance to review your life. I reviewed my life. I came back to resolve this unresolved trauma and to carry the torch that it's about how we have bypassed our whole life. I mean, look at myself. I went back for 10 more years in the corporate world.
After that?
After my heart attack.
Gosh.
Yeah, after my heart attack. And then when I retired, Brad, I thought my whole life I've been chained to being a prisoner in the corporate world and working 50 hours a week. I also was going back to school, getting my degree, raising a teenage child who was the homecoming princess and softball every weekend, all those roles. But there was just still more for me. So that spirituality really helped me anchor that near-death experience. But it was only 3 years ago. And I've spent 3 years with this, looking back at every relationship, every turning point in my life, looking to see the trauma, the benefits, the mirrors in the life, decluttering my life with all the shame and the family secrets and everything that we keep inside of us. And by freeing that up, after my near-death experience, I lost 50 pounds. And I say it's emotional baggage.
So you said that you were given a choice to come back. Did you want to come back?
I think...
Because you hear people say, I don't want to go back. I didn't want to come back because the light was so beautiful and what I saw was beautiful and I want to go there.
I was given what I believe everybody's looking for, their mission in life, their service to the world, to make a difference. But I had to stop my own bypass, Brad. And I have spent 3 years in an unbelievable life coaching program. I've done hypnosis, life regression. I've gone back and looked at my childhood and all the trauma I've brought through to my adulthood. So an NDE is very personal because really there are no words. I mean, for me to say, oh, I climbed the steps of the pyramid through higher consciousness. I would say that what I've connected to a lot of people, because in my book, I just wrote a chapter and I have 20 frequently asked questions about my near death. And it's my experience.
Yeah. But everyone's experience is different. Just like I explained my grandmother's, she did see herself. She was floating above herself and she saw and she heard everything. So when I'm sorry,
it's okay.
I'm really intrigued by this because I've had conversations with my grandmother and I want to learn more. And as you said, every experience is different. So you said that you were given your mission, your purpose. How did you hear? Did you hear it? Were you shown it? How did that show up for you?
What it showed up, and you could call it what you may. Was it a dream? Was it real? Was it a vision? I was on the best drugs on the planet, like I said. It was like could it have been my karmic board? Maybe. But for me, the vision was like an honorable group of judges, very majestic kind of orb. They were in cloaks. And we spoke, but it was very compassionate and it was very strange about the love that I felt. Very strange about the love. But I'm a person my whole life. I've had a lot of head knowledge and I needed to get that back into my heart. And the only way that I could teach it was to stop my own bypass so that I could carry the torch for people. But for me, taking off the masks, Brad, and being the authentic, true, consciously you, I have gone back so many times to that experience in being in that moment with that group of beings. I later called them the original ones. I believe they were like our ancestral self. They were like all the parts of us that are probably alive if you believe in epigenetics and DNA and all that stuff. But yes, I was given a choice. I believe we thought I would be best served by coming back to fulfilling what I'm calling my mission, writing this book that's going to deliver next year, has put together this program called the Unmask Experience, how we go through the motions of life pretending.
Yeah.
So it's learning to take off the mask and kind of expose the naked truth, that everything is a masterpiece. And I'd have to say one of the things I discussed with them is that things only touch our heart, Brad, when we can learn down deep from the experiences and wake-up calls. And the NDE was a big wake-up call for me to reconcile my life and have a new relationship with life. My family still rolls their eyes when I talk about this, but you know what?
I love this stuff.
But when I said it was personal, I just wanted to say is the truth of my experience is valid to me. To explain where I was, I tell people I was in a space between space. You know what space is. We have that moment like an NLP and how we can respond. Do we react or respond? There is this moment of space. And that's where I'd like to say, I feel like I witnessed my entire rescue. I feel like I got the glimpse of the afterlife, but I was unconscious. So I was in an unconscious state.
So you were clearly given or shown the instructions on what you need to come back to Earth, to this plane of existence and do.
Yes.
All the things were laid out for you. This is what you need to do.
Right. This is what I need to do.
That is
and the
incredible.
First one was to go through my life and everything that we buried in the shadows, all those traumas, they had to come out. They had to come out. I have journals, spreadsheets, any and everything for us to, because we bury all that stuff inside of it. And then we keep vile energy to keep it alive and hidden. I took everything out on the table, so to speak. And a lot of it started with some childhood trauma that I'd never dealt with. And that turned into illness, that turned into all these things. And I got a second chance to come back and look at life. I mean, if you had a second chance, you would be more alive. And that's what I'd say I am. I have energy. I write till 2 a.m. I have a Be Still chair that I go out every morning. And I have to remember to feel again. My whole life I've survived like all of us.
So when you got back on your feet again, did you dive in immediately to start doing the work that they told you?
Immediately.
Wow, that's incredible.
And then every time I really discovered that aspect of myself, I had to learn to integrate somebody else that I might have shamed and blamed on an experience. I called them soul wounds. I looked at everybody, abandonment, betrayal, rejection, humiliation, injustice. Every experience has taught us something, Brad.
Yeah, for sure.
So
they're all part of shaping who we are.
Right. Shaping who we are, our experiences, like I said, these wake-up calls, our future life. But the future really hasn't been written. I'm going to help do it consciously. And
I love it.
I have all these infinite possibilities to pick from.
And we all do, though. We all have that. It's just we don't realize it. And sometimes, for some people, it takes an experience like an NDE to do that, I guess.
Definitely. This year I had an opportunity to get on stage and share this as this global influencer, and we'll see what becomes of that. But I did a live in Croatia. I went to Las Vegas. I went to a wellness center in Ireland. And one of the new sayings I have is grow with the flow, because every experience, people are interested. For me, I learned to self-heal so that I could help in service of others. I believe that everything is an energy. Every illness is some sort of an energy blockage. I believe if you look at the word pain and you use the initials, please acknowledge information now. If you have a pain, you can become consciously aware of it. Where do you feel it? What are you thinking? And really taking accountability for our life. I'm in a different stage. I'm retired.
Radical self-responsibility, radical self-acceptance, radical self-accountability. It's incredible. And we do. I think we all have the power within us to heal ourselves. We've been conditioned to believe that doctors are the be-all and end-all. Right. They are the gods. They are the all-knowing, and they're not. They're human beings. They make mistakes, and they don't know everything. So I'm curious. I've had discussions with many spiritual people and people who've had spiritual experiences, and I love hearing everyone's different answers. So I would love your thoughts and ideas around this. Do you believe that every single one of us on the planet has spiritual gifts within us, and it's just a matter of having the right guidance to do so, to figure out how to tap into them and use them? Or do you think that's bullshit?
No, I believe we're all mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual beings, and everybody has a different focus. You do have these experiences, and the universe does keep bringing everything forward. For me, I just felt there was more to life. And I end up having this unbelievable connection with God, an extraordinary experience. Yeah. But I believe that everybody's on their own path. And I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned is to mind my own business, because I would love to fix you, heal you, give you all my wisdom, but you're on your own path, and so is everybody else. So to answer your question, yes, I believe we have an aspect of each other, and we choose what focus we want to learn on.
Beautiful. And so how has your own personal spiritual journey transformed your own life and personal beliefs?
One of the main questions people ask is, now am I afraid of death? Like I said, I studied death and dying for decades. I'm not here to study, to teach anybody about death, Brad. I'm here to teach people how to live. And my unmasked experience is take accountability for yourself. I mean, we wear masks for protection. I mean, I was the perfect overachiever, people pleaser, perfectionist. I was all of them. But by taking off those masks gave me the freedom to really live a full-on life.
I love it. I mean, really, we're only here for a very short time. So you hear, and this saddens me when I think about it, and I did it, you did it, you've shared, we stay stuck. Somewhere where we shouldn't be, where we're not happy, where we're miserable. And there's so many people that don't get out, that don't make the choice, they don't choose them and choose to get out and do something different. And I think that's terribly sad, because they end up wasting 5 days out of 7 every week. They live for those 2 days. And I think that's that's existing, that's not living.
Right.
So I think what you're doing, teaching people to live, is a beautiful gift that you're giving the world and the people that you come in contact with and work with.
I appreciate you saying that, but I do believe that we have gotten so busy making the living, like I said, that we don't live. And we have all lived in survival mode. And now that I'm living is the first time I feel enlivened enough to say that I'm thriving. But I'd have to just say, they say it's a journey, but I had to learn how to feel again. Because I was one of those living zombies in autopilot for 30 years. I got up at 4:30 in the morning. I got home at 6:30 at night. I could do it all. I'd say probably I was considered an alpha female, okay? Because I could be the hunter. I could do it all. But that was part of competing with the divine masculine. And seemingly as a woman in that corporate world, and by the way, I work for the #1 company in the world. So if you could imagine I can compete in the male hierarchy. But yeah, I didn't just fit in. I had to stand out, but I had to really learn to be me. But I donned a lot of masks in corporate to fit in, to be one of the guys. So it was huge lessons. Like I said, unique. Great. I have the MBA. I had that experience. I have a different value of life. But I would say that the biggest question about the fear of life is I do have a different relationship with death, because it's giving me a different value on life. Right. And if I am really creating my life, and I believe in that my words and my actions and my thoughts and everything created. I mean, have you ever lived your day and manifested it?
No.
To heard what music, I mean, just all these synchronicity, everything that happens. Anyways, I've had an opportunity to really become self-aware and self-conscious to the point where I know that if I'm feeling pain or I have to go and look at my thoughts, because you're right. People don't even know they have a choice, Brad.
Yep. And that's the scary part. That's the sad part, because we all have a choice. We all have the power of choice. No matter what situation you're in, there's always a choice. Always. It's just a matter of whether you're willing to take it. Right. Be brave enough and courageous enough to take that choice, to take that action, to choose.
Before I started writing my book, which I thought was just a lot of self-therapy, I wrote contributing in an anthology, and it was about dying to live. Okay, because I realized my whole life, I'm dying to live. I'm dying to live. Now I have this experience. Now I'm living to live. But I was just looking at this, dying to be me. I've been always searching for more meaning in life, dying to be understood, dying to breathe, dying to serve. So I got past that dying when I unmasked my life. And then I started, living, which is really, the intention of being conscious in our own life.
Yeah.
But we talked a lot about self-care. I mean, I've been so busy. Like, whose life are you living?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice to live a life that felt like yours?
Yes, absolutely.
And what about life of our dreams? So like in my workshops, like what if you had 1 week to live? What would you do, Brad? And then
that's a huge question.
It is a huge question. We do breakout rooms, but it's just get people to realize is they're the only ones that stop you from being you. So,
we are our own biggest hurdles.
So it's just been interesting because people ask, how has my life changed? My life has changed forever, but I am thankful for every day. Now, don't let me say that I'm not in funks like everybody else is here, because we live in duality. Yeah. But I'm not going to bypass the happiness of my own heart. And I don't need to protect myself with all these masks. And I know who I am. And I'd have to say the NDE insights, this chapter I left, I wrote, the drowning was really a surrender. Was the pool really a reflection? Was my inner self my granddaughter? I mean, I did shadow work. I did inner child work. I did all this stuff that's out there. Huge. I'd have to just say is when you have an experience like this, it is an awakening call. But I couldn't have done it without some professional help. Right. Some life coaching, unbelievable. I'm not sure I really even believed in hypnosis, but I've been an energy healer for almost 20 years. I could look at the patterns in your life and help you look what caused your illness.
Yeah.
But, I mean, when we look deep at ourselves,
it takes a lot of bravery and courage to do.
Well, it becomes vulnerable. This nakedness of being vulnerable, not standing there in front of a naked, but just standing in there in the truth of who we are.
Standing in your truth.
Which I've been a truth seeker. Now I say I'm a truth finder because I don't want to seek my whole life. But I think my big realization, Brad, is that every experience has led me to who I am.
Beautiful.
I could be Sandra, who's had a joyful relationship with learning and wants to read something new about a light body activation. I'm somebody that's sick and wants me to help them with the mental patterns of a long-term illness, because I've studied allopathic, I've studied alternative, I've studied holistic, and everybody, is different and needs their own healing journey. I can't heal anybody because it is all self-healing.
You just give them the tools, that's all, and the guidance.
And what I realized, Brad, is all those years that I studied mindfulness and meditation and breath work and energy healing, on my 3-year recovery, what did I use? Mindfulness, meditation. So it was like, and then all this stuff about death and dying. Am I fearful? I'd say I left within 6 months after my NDE, and I went to Ireland for 3 months. Wow. I stayed on all those people's couches that said, come stay with me. But what it did was let me realize that I have to have my own relationship with myself.
Yep, for sure. That is the longest standing, most important relationship we'll ever have in our lifetime, is that relationship with self. Hands down. Fortunately,
I could unplug from my reality here. And to me, I've been to Ireland 30 times, so it's a very safe and sacred space for me. But it's really just a chance for me to love me. So I've had a lot of very interesting things. A few months ago, I ended up having a stroke. Here, I think I've come a long way, baby. I'm this near death. I meant my book is from near death to new life. But I turned around and wrote a chapter about a stroke of awakening, because once again, it was such a wake-up call and lesson about living and being alive and being grateful for everything.
That's it. Gratitude is so important. It is key. We have to be grateful for everything, for the shit that comes into our lives, the shitty experiences. Yeah, absolutely. But you have to be grateful for it, because within that pile of shit, there's a silver lining. There's a lesson in there for you to take forth in order to grow and evolve.
definitely, I love the consciousness side of it. I have a friend that's really into Tony Robbins and Dr. Joe, and I love all that declutter your mind. I do a lot of it with journaling. Yeah, I'd have to say I've been fortunate to have a very well-balanced life, to have a relationship with what I call spirit. But I did go back and did some very deep diving on my inner being. Like I said, self-denial and avoidance and resentment and hesitation. And I had to look at every aspect of myself.
That's not easy.
No, it
Definitely
isn't nice.
Not easy. In your opinion, Sandra, what does it mean to be spiritual in today's world?
For me, we have this outer environment of this external part of ourselves. For me, spiritually is to go inside, that everything that happens there really gets projected here. They used to say things happen to you, things happen for you. But at this point of my life, things happen from me. That's been very interesting, that I would say spirituality, although I love nature and all those things, it's coming into that inner alignment.
Beautiful. Now, what would you say are a couple of the most profound spiritual insights or truths that you've uncovered through your spiritual work?
I think we probably already touched on them, about really taking accountability for everything that happens in your life. And I'd have to say a lot about the intention of our words, because back in the olden days, we might have used swords on each other. But if you take the S and put it on the word swords, we can be very hurtful with our words. So the accountability of every experience, and the realization is that everybody is our teacher, and that there is some big divine plan. But Stop the Bypass has taught me, Brad, how to trust life again, and trust in the divine plan, that the spiritual, all this stuff will unfold like it's meant to be.
Yeah, beautiful. What daily practices or rituals do you follow to maintain your spiritual health and effectiveness as a healer?
One of the things I learn is I'm an empath. I would like to take on everybody's pain and then transmute it and transform it. I've had to learn that we have to have this physical body. Yoga's really helped me move the tension out of my body. Meditate every day, but I'm not sitting in the closet. I use life as the meditation. Like in everything that I do, I'm mindful of things that happen. I look at triggers, and someone that said something to me, I have to look to see where it is inside of me. So I'd have to say is utilizing all those tools in that tool belt that we've connected our whole life.
Yeah. Now, being an energy worker, can you explain the role that energy plays in spiritual healing and how you work with it to facilitate healing in others?
Okay, nice question. I believe any and everything from the food we eat to the words that we speak are driven by energy. I love the whole science part of science that studies creation, but really creation is spirituality. So there's this constant link. You're going to have to, I'm spinning a bit, Brad. Can you
That's
just repeat the last question?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. What is the role that energy plays in spiritual healing, and how do you work with it to facilitate healing in others?
Okay. I use a lot of earth energy. I think a lot of us forget that we need to be connected. I do a lot of earthing. So I believe that for us to look at our motivation and our intention in our own energy. And because I believe people take on these illnesses, and I believe it's all blocked energy. So as far as energy and spirituality is, just to trust the universe, to stay grounded to the earth. We're running around in cute little tennis shoes and everything, and we're not grounded to the earth. So I'd say that energy plays a role in every single thing in our life.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. What is one tip or takeaway that you could provide, Sandra, that listeners can implement immediately in order to start shifting their mindset and incorporating their healing and intuitive gifts into their lives and utilizing them to shift and change their own lives?
I'd have to say that it really starts with self-awareness, Brad. For me, I was a person that worked 12 hours a day and went to school and did everything for everybody, but I learned to start journaling. I like I said, I've had this joyful relationship with learning. For me, the door was always open for me to expand. I love the contrast, but I also love the opportunity to always become more.
Love it. Now, you are, as we mentioned, you are the co-founder, or the co-founder of Kindred Spirit Connections. So I want to talk a little bit about that. You founded that with your daughter. Can you share with us a bit about that journey, when it was founded, what the inspiration was behind starting Kindred Spirit Connections, and what it's all about?
Sure. I think I've incorporated it a little throughout this podcast, but after I had my heart attack, my daughter was a junior in high school and had unbelievable anxiety. First, she was the homecoming princess. She was everything. I couldn't imagine how she could have anxiety because I felt like I gave her everything. But after I'd had my heart attack and she was struggling with anxiety, we opened Kindred Spirit Connections. And we opened our own little healing office, and we started learning all the healing modalities to heal ourselves. My daughter's like this rainbow child. These different generations of kids that come in here don't have the baggage that we have, Brad. But it started out learning about Reiki and Theta and Rising Star and a lot of comprehensive energy healing systems. And it just moved into natural health and wellness, essential oils, crystals, all those type of things. My daughter started being a mindfulness teacher in the public schools as well as in the private schools. Then she started applying mindfulness as a coach. She coaches baseball and softball and soccer. Even though we opened that in 2005 to heal ourselves, we have learned to heal our own lives so that we could help people that really want to do the deep dive to heal themselves.
I love that. And so you say that the mission behind the work you're doing with Kindred Spirit Connections is to help people create a new reality of awareness, to release the hold of the past limiting belief systems, and to help people reawaken to a new relationship with life. Why have you decided to make this your mission, and why is it so personally important to you?
I think it's personally important. It's because I believe we really imprison our own selves, and that past can become a prison, Brad, but the past can also become freedom. If we have the tools to realize that we have trauma, we have illness, we have all this stuff in our body, and we start putting together all the pieces of the puzzle, and you remember some of the pieces are missing and there's no borders to the puzzle, we get an opportunity to become self-aware of every experience that comes as well as anything in the past. So for me, as a lot of people carry the past without the forgiveness, and they're the ones that continue to carry that burden. And when they're ready to help give it up, we help people discover those patterns that are keeping them stuck, especially from the past. But through my life regression, when I look back at my NDE and I look back at my childhood, I also rediscovered my loving self. But it's having the tools to deal with everything that comes your way.
Yeah. Now, as mentioned, and you mentioned it, you are a Rising Star Healing System teacher. What is the Rising Star Healing System all about, and how long have you been teaching this system to people?
Okay. Originally, my daughter and I started Reiki. A lot of people know Reiki is an ancient healing, which clears your chakras. Rising Star, I started studying with a transformational coach in Ireland. His name is Derek O'Neill, and he brought forth a very comprehensive, similar to Reiki and the chakras, but also helping to align the elements within. So the Rising Star is a 20-day kind of a living where you're more participative in the intention of the healing, but it is a cleansing of the chakras, a cleansing of the and balancing of the elements. So we've been doing the Rising Star probably about 15 years.
Okay, excellent. And what has the feedback been from clients that you've worked through this system of healing with them?
It's like I said, because it's very similar of Reiki, when they realize that it can help hold the sacred space, but really the healing all belongs with them. And we teach people about the chakras and the different areas where you might feel and experience something during the healing sessions. So I'd have to say that we have had an opportunity to learn all the different healing modalities out there. We have more credentials. It just helps make us better energy healers for others.
Love it. Now, I want you to tell the people a little bit about your book. As we mentioned, you are an author. You've mentioned the book. I would love for you to speak about the book again, share the title. What was that experience like for you, sharing and writing and putting it out into the world? And how has it changed you as a person, sharing that very personal story?
It was a couple of months after I had my near-death experience. And then I wasn't sure. There was this fear that I have to come back and do something, and it might be limited time. I started doing this life coaching and realized that when I stopped my own bypass, that people can connect the dots to their own. And so I put together a website. The book will be delivering, and it started as a memoir, just looking back at my life. Wow. Look at all the wake-up calls. I had a massive heart attack here. I had my ND here, all these things in between my life. I shared it as a memoir, and then it ended up being a whole chapter on frequently asked questions from the near-death experience. There still is, because of going back in that childhood trauma, there's still a lot of family sensitivity about that type of healing. So I believe that will be in time. But Stop the Bypass, it's just been instrumental in me really becoming consciously aware of my own life and believing that it can be a tool. It's also a workbook about how to unmask your life. So it's like grown, Brad. You think you're doing your self-therapy, and then little by little you see, when you do trust life in the universe and you really can go back and look at your life, you could remember you're here to be happy. You can be more consciously aware of your own health. So Stop the Bypass has put me on the path to stop my own and carry the torch for others. Yeah, it's taught me to love life again.
What does that term, Stop the Bypass, mean to you?
It's kind of twofold, because I always say my chest,
the heart bypass.
And I have 6 different pacemakers here. I always call this my battlefield of life. We bypassed our own heart. We've lived everybody else's life. Now, to stop the bypass is I have to do me. I have to have a relationship with myself and not live everybody else's life. I also have discovered this higher heart, which is the thymus. We bypass the thymus when we use our physical. I've learned to tap. I've learned new things about all the mechanisms we do to bypass our own life. Each chapter kind of led to a new chapter, but frequently I'd go to podcasts. You wouldn't believe the questions people asked about near-death experiences, Brad. I mean, you've been nice. I mean, really. Like I said, it was very unique. I was in peace and calm and bliss and had unbelievable spiritual experiences. For my family, it was the worst trauma of their life.
I'm sure it was.
And
this stuff intrigues me. I love hearing people's stories and experiences with NDE. I think it's an incredible phenomenon. And so I can't understand why people would ask questions that
they want to know what's heaven, what's hell. Do you think that, for me, instead of saying drowning, I say surrender. I believe that it was an initiation. I saw as being on the umbilical cord, probably on the ventilator. But there was the part of me that was able to reframe everything from those spiritual teachings.
Which is what it's all about, reframing it and learning, taking those teachings forward to better yourself, to grow yourself, to evolve, but also to help others.
And from Stop the Bypass led to the Unmask experience, to
the program,
the truth of your life, which led to this living experience about liberation and visualization and creating a life, which led to my third program, which is Spiritual and Beyond, which is kind of the heart, mind, body, soul, all those
all
different
wrapped in
pieces.
one.
Yeah, it started with Dying to Live, and then the Stop the Bypass is now surviving through on bypassing. And when we realize is everybody kind of pretends their life is perfect, right? I have a perfect job. I have a perfect family. I have a great car, but I'm in debt. We bypass all those, and Stop the Bypass I am now on the journey beyond the bypass. And it is the creation of all those infinite possibilities and doing things in my life that I never thought I'd do. I've been to India, I've been at the ashrams, I've been in Egypt, I've been to Costa Rica, and now getting offered to share the experience. And my signature talk is Stop Bypassing Your Happy Life.
I love it.
Yeah.
That sounds incredibly powerful. You are an inspiration, Sandra.
For me, I've learned the new value of abundance, which is my word for 2025. in abundance, not in the financial aspect, although you do need money to survive in duality, but abundance in the quality of relationships and abundance in the experiences that the universe creates it all. We're all from the same energy. People are exhausted. Your breath of life is your consciousness. Your breath of life is the energy. There's so much that we could do when we become consciously aware of our lives.
Thank you for sharing that, Sandra. What would you say is one of the most important things you've learned in your life? And what was your life like before you learned it? And what was your life like after learning it?
There was a big part about acceptance and acknowledgement. I'd like to start off by that because we all have skeletons in our closet, Brad. We've all come here to experience the good, the bad, and the ugly. For me was just to not bury that any longer, because I think it all festered into these illnesses in my being. But it was being vulnerable enough, not invulnerable and being weak, and being courage and strong. And like I said, I've been the great wife and mother and sister and daughter, but, I forgot to do me. And the NDE was a timeout for me to say, do the deep inner work and look at the experience beyond the trauma that the wake-up call gave you. And the wake-up call has changed, like I said, everything in my life, Brad.
Powerful. What is an unexpected blessing or occurrence in your life that you're grateful for?
I'd have to say that it's going to be my daughter. I've always thought of my daughter as being the best part of me. She's my only child. I've got 3 teenage granddaughters, but we've done all this together. We have this business. We teach our kids mindfulness. The other day I told my granddaughter, boy, when you use that F word all the time, it makes me feel yicky. She goes, I can't make you feel anything. You do that all yourself, Granny. Because that's mindfulness. I'm like, oh, God.
That is out of the mouths of babes, right?
We all want to make a difference. We all have a story, but I never thought that this would be such an empowerment for me to reclaim my personal power, because we give it all away, Brad. We give it all away to keep everybody else happy. And I'd say for me, is just this new awakening of life. And if there's a part of me that says, no, don't do it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to push past the ego. When the door opens, because I believe that pool and that experience was like a bridge for me. And it was a bridge between the physical and the spiritual. And I had all these wonderful experiences. I explain them in the book. When I had the stroke, which was just 2 months ago, I asked the nurse for a piece of paper, and I wrote like this unbelievable poem, because when we get out of our own way, things move. And for me, it was like the dove of peace descending and the phoenix rising and meeting at my heart, and the sun rose and set at the same time. And it was just like every moment is a new beginning. We're really created anew every day. And so this whole experience about truly living has begun since I have stopped the bypass.
Amazing. Just so powerful and inspirational to put that out there for people to know that they can pour into themselves and they can do and achieve anything they want. You just have to be self-aware enough to realize it and do the work.
And if not, when these wake-up calls come, Brad, then you have an opportunity to look deep inside. So
yeah, for sure. What do you think your unique skill set or superpower is that's helped you become successful?
My superpower is, I was just getting ready to rewrite my signature talk, is looking beyond the traumas. Is that looking beyond the traumas so that they don't hold us back, so that you could let go of them, right? And then have more energy to do the real thing. But yeah, I'd have to say is looking at the truth. Looking at the truth.
Speaking of success, how do you define that word? What's the word success mean to you?
As an energy healer, it's always kind of meant health and happiness and well-being. But for me now, what I think success means is making an impact, making a difference, like you, touching the life of all these people with these empowering women's stories. We all open our heart, and I believe we're this law of attraction. I signed up and I get to share my story. But yeah, we have an opportunity to make impact on generations. My parents are both in their 90s. So when we have a party, there's 4 generations. So we have to learn to communicate because we all speak different languages, so to speak.
For sure.
But yeah, I'd have to say this success is leaving a legacy. And that's what I believe the Stop the Bypass is, but I have to live it by example, not just written word.
For sure. What does the word empowerment mean to you?
Wow. I love your Empowerography, right?
You got it.
I do. I love that. Standing in the truth and integrity of who we are is empowerment. And for me is reclaiming the personal power that I've given to others. And it just allows me to give more. And this experience has also allowed me to receive more.
That's important. So many people don't know how to receive. I know I've struggled with that. And I think also having the awareness to recognize that it's cyclical. You have to learn to do both, give and receive, and you can't have one without the other.
There definitely has to be a balance, but consciously aware of every lesson that comes through every experience. That's kind of been my new motto for life.
Yeah.
Oh, grow with the flow. That's what it is. Grow with no more go with the flow, grow with the flow.
Grow with the flow. I love it. Okay, we're going to jump into a little rapid fire section here. So the next grouping of questions will just be 1, 2, 3, 4 word answer type thing. Okay. What is your favorite self-care practice?
Me time, living the life, doing what I want to do without on my own terms.
Okay. How would you describe yourself in one word?
I wanted to say empowered, but of course that was reflective on your last question. I'm going to say, mindful.
Okay. If you could teach the world one thing, what would it be?
Everything's love.
If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
Standing in the truth, speaking my truth.
What is one thing you want but cannot buy with money?
The first word that came was time.
What is one thing you love about yourself that is not related to your physical appearance?
What I love about me is learning to feel again. You know what I mean? Just learning. No more surviving. It's time for me to live.
Yeah. That concludes our rapid fire section. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. I created a bonus question that I did not send you.
Of course you did. I didn't even look at your questions.
Okay, beautiful. Then it doesn't matter. Sandra, if you could take one feeling or one belief and bottle it and give it to people, what would it be?
I don't know. The feeling that what came to me was just awakening. Is the feeling of awakening. Everybody says awareness, but I didn't want to say awareness. It's just, awakening to love life. Just awakening.
Yeah. What is your why?
My why? Why live? Why?
Yeah. Why do you do what you do? What's your why for what you do, for the work that you do, for the people that you help? What is your why?
I just keep getting service. By giving to others, we give to ourselves. I mean, this whole thing was when you look out, and as an energy healer, you could see all the suffering in the world. So Stop the Bypass. It's about breaking the chains of suffering.
Love it. If you could step into my shoes, what question would you have asked yourself that I didn't ask you?
Oh, I thought you've been very well-rounded as far as questions.
Thank you. I received that.
Yeah, we talked about physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. I mean, we've talked about it all.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. If you had the opportunity, Sandra, to sit down and have a 1-hour conversation with one woman, any woman in the world, who would it be and why?
The first thing that came to me was my sister. I do believe that my sister was the first person that I met on my afterlife experience, but my sister's been gone for 33 years. And I believe she's still been such a big part of this spirituality and this family. So it would be my sister, Laura.
Love it. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
Yeah. Just trust. I mean, we forgot to trust the universe. Yeah. I'd have to just say trust. Okay. I'm seeing my granddaughter's lineup. One of them's her birthday today.
Happy birthday. If you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, your corner of the world, your tribe, your people, what would that last 30 seconds sound like? What words of wisdom would you impart?
Is that we all have an opportunity to be consciously aware of every experience and every wake-up call that comes to us, to see everything as a gift, to see every experience as a gift, and realized, like I said, that it's brought us to who we are.
Beautiful. Sandra, thank you so much. It has been an absolute pleasure and an honor to have had the opportunity to sit down and speak with you and to share in your story and your journey. Thank you for inviting me into that space and being vulnerable and sharing. I really appreciate you taking and making the time to be here with me today. I am so honored to have had the opportunity and to have you as a member of the Empowerography community and to now call you a friend. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Could you please share with the audience where they can connect with you if they want to learn more about who you are and the work you do?
Sure. I have a new website. It's Stop the Bypass, www.stopthebypass, Sandra at stopthebypass.com. And it's talking about our different programs. And I'm excited what the future holds. And Happy New Year to everybody.
Yes. Thank you so much, Sandra. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Once again, my name is Brad Walsh, host of your Empowerography podcast. Today, my guest has been Sandra Combe. She is the co-founder of Kindred Spirit Connections. She is a mind, body, spirit entrepreneur, an energy healer, which encompasses multiple healing modalities. She's also a life coach, a rising star healing system teacher, a speaker, and an author. Thank you so much, Sandra. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, Brad. Bye.
Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at visuphoria.ca, follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast, and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.